All right, so this is another argument. This is actually more directed to the people who are against the conservatives. I'm not going to bash conservatives. I pretty much fall into the branch of the conservative movement. But I wanted to bring this. I can agree that Black Lives Matter is a leftist organization, that I refuse to say Black Lives Matter, not because I don't believe that Black Lives Matter, but I believe it's a strawman argument that has the assumption that the general population, the general public, believes that Black lives don't matter. So therefore we have to repeat that word to convince them that yes, Black lives do matter. I think it's a very annoying argument, because I don't believe that the majority of the country has anti-blackness, and I believe, and there is a fact that it's just true. Black Lives Matter is really a leftist organization. It's also annoying how they don't have the same energy on problems that actually affect more the black community, such as abortion rates, or high school dropouts, or black on black crime, and things that blacks actually do go through, that actually, those are serious problems more than the police shootings. It's true. However, one death is too many, and we can't look over that. The problem with using that constantly, that argument of the abortion and the black on black crime, is that that's not an excuse for a white person, for a white cop or any cop, to kill a black person, an innocent black person. It doesn't give us the excuse of, just because a black person has some sort of a black individual has a criminal background, for the cop to abuse its power. And the thing is that we need to look, is that we can't deny, is that unfortunately there is some white cops who are racist. I don't believe that they're a majority, and it's not, and it's not really on every counties in the U.S., but sometimes it exists. And there was, and that was a bigger problem back in the day in the 90s. It was much bigger in the 90s, and going back more than it is today. But the thing is that we can't overlook that, and I think a cop should be in a higher standard than a black civilian. A cop has to take a job to serve and protect the people. He's not meant to join in the party of the black killing. And I understand that it's true. More white people are shot by police, and it's true that disproportionately the reason why blacks are killed is because disproportionately they commit more crimes than they do. I know the stats, and I agree with conservatives in that. That's the reason why I'm against the Black Lives Matter movement. But we do have to acknowledge of the things that actually affects the people who are not just black, but it's really the working class, Hispanics, and poor whites, who are affected by this police brutality. Because I'm not saying that a rich person is not going to go through police brutality, but there will be severe consequences, because they can hire a lawyer and they can end a career's job. But what really is a problem is the unions. The unions are a big problem in many of these cities, which are technically democratic cities. And they have a huge problem by them, because the fact is that if you are a person who is a working class and you get in trouble with the law, and you know yourself that you were mistreated by a cop, the problem with that is that, let's just say that you have a small stain in your criminal background. And when you were like about ages between 18 and 22, you made an error and you had, drug possession, and you weren't really a big dealer, but you just had some drug possession, and all of a sudden now you have a bad stigma, and now you have something that they categorize, they look at you as a criminal, even though you're not. You just made one mistake, and now you face a problem with a police officer. And now you get into a problem with a police officer, and clearly the police officer was being unfair. He harassed you. It was not your fault, but you have these disadvantages. You don't have the money to afford a lawyer, and you have that stain, which was a long time ago, and it wasn't really your fault. But the police because technically his job is to protect and serve. But that incident, that moment, that time, he was harassing you. And not only that, but he has the police unions to back him up. And this is the problem that we have to acknowledge. We need to do something with police unions. I don't want to fund the police. I believe that we need to fund the police because they need better training. But we do need to do something about these police unions, and not just police unions, but public unions that affect also bad teachers in neighborhoods where a lot of them they're predominantly black or Latinos. There's a lot of public unions that do this, and they protect bad teachers, they protect bad cops, and I think we need to address this. We need to be very, very careful, and we need to have empathy, because at the end of the day, I do believe that some cops, because we're humans, I look at it from a realistic perspective. I look at it from, like, if you constantly have bad encounters with black civilians that are constantly doing crimes and being rude to you, you as a cop can develop some sort of stereotype prejudice towards African Americans, and next thing you know, you see an African American who fits the description of being a gangbanger, but he's not. He's really just a innocent black kid minding his own business. A cop can actually exercise and actually act upon his prejudices, and that's unfair, and we can't deny that. So what I mean is, I'm not saying for you to, I don't kiss up to this Black Lives Matter movement. I don't do it, but at the same time, we can't deny that we're different. And empathy is we can't assume that you know what it's like to be white. You can't assume what it's like that, oh, all white people have it good and they don't go through any suffering. You don't know that. You don't know what's going on in their parents. You don't know if they're being molested at home. You don't know if they're getting beaten. You don't know if they're being bullied by black kids. You don't know anything of that. It's the same thing with a black person. You don't know what it's like to be black. You don't know what it's like. And I think we need to push for empathy, because we need to realize that we can't be so quick to be like, oh, what about black on black crime? But you have no idea the experience that they've gone through with cops. However, we have to look at the bigger picture, and we have to see that it's really about the poor class, and it's really about the public unions. And we need to, conservatives and liberals, come together to acknowledge that problem in the black community, and many communities are poor. So with that being said, I just wanted to share that, and I'll make more videos on this race issues. All right. Don't forget to put subscribe button, follow me on Facebook, and Fresh News.